everybody, welcome to the second episode on the old 1984 Vespa. The end of episode 1, I'd left you off and it was like there was primer stage, not primer stages, filler stages. We'd got sort of like the first to second pass of filler down. I've got in the studio early this morning and I've sort of gone round, sorted all the filler work out on the frame. So we've feathered in all these pieces here now, all the bits along here. All this is done. And all round this bit, a couple of little bits here feathered out, these bits here along the top here and at the back. So the frame is good to go for its first coat of primer, so that one's done. The horn cast is ready for a plastic primer. I've just got to lightly sand these down in 180. The handlebar piece, this is the bottom part of the handlebars which sits sort of here, that bolts on there. We've just got to sand that piece down in 180. The flywheel casing, that's ready to go for primer. There was some dents and dinks on the front mudguard. I've done the second pass of filler on them, sorted all that out, so that's good to go. The side panels have been sanded on the insides and feathered out the filler on the exterior, so they're good to go. Toolbox door, that one's good to go. So the first thing we're starting off with today is the top casing on the handlebars, which is this piece here. This will sit sort of here on the scooter, so it's like that. Now when I started to sand this back, there was a crack, as you can see there. When you push that, you can see that crack opening up. That was on the casing. Now usually when you get splits in like fiberglass and plastics, you can get the tools where it's like a little soldering iron with 2 prongs and they hold like a staple. It looks like a staple that you use for stapling paper together. Similar sort of thing, but the staple, instead of being straight, they're sort of all wiggly line. Now, I don't own one of them tools. I would like to use one because they're really handy, and I'm doing quite a few bits of plastic work that's coming through the studio. So the way I'm going to go about doing this is I'm going to get a Dremel with a little disc on it, and we're going to cut across the crack, put some lines in across the crack like that, and then I will fiberglass inside them little cracks, and it'll just knit it together like you're sewing it together like you would material. It'll just bond the 2 edges together with the fiberglass, and that'll be good to go. Feather that out, drop a little bit of filler over like dolphin glaze over the top, and that's good for primer. So that's the first thing to do. Then we're going to move on to the casing that sits here. So that one would sit on top of that casing there. That one goes here. That one's metal. That just needs sanding down in 180 just to knock a little bit of roughness off, and then that's good for primer. The next thing to prep up is the toolbox piece. We've got the toolbox door there, and then you have the metal sort of box that comes out and sits on this leg shield just here. Now the casing on the inside was absolutely full of grease and oil, because a lot of the times the owners of these carry their spare oil in them sort of little toolboxes and little tools and things, and get greased up. So the interior of that was just cake. So I've got that sitting outside soaking in degreaser. So I'm going to give that little blast off, bring it in, and then we can prep that piece up. We'll get all the pieces prepped in today's video, what's left. I'll give the studio a little sweep out, get this rubbish out that's accumulated, and all the sanding bits, you can see that on the floor, the discs that I've used. Give it a tidy up, and then I'll get the guns set up, and then we'll get the first primer stage on all these pieces. We'll get the plastic primer done on that piece, on this piece here. So that's what we're going to do. I'll stick you in a time lapse. We'll get this bit dremeled out and fiberglassed up. See you in a bit. Right everybody, we are ready to start the primer stage. You've seen in a little time lapses we're doing a repair on the top of the casing for the handlebars. Some other little bits, we've done some work on the toolbox, that's all sorted now, so that's all sanded. All these bits are ready to go for the primer. I've got the 2 plastic pieces out the way, they're going to be done next, because as you can see there is not a lot of room here, and I've got to try and prime all these bits in this little area. It's very tight. The gun that we're going to be using is the DeVilbiss HD Advance 2mm setup for the epoxy. We're running this about 23-24 psi. We'll have a little fiddle with the gun, see how it's coming out. Nice coat, not going too heavy, just a nice coat all over. Then we can leave this overnight and let the epoxy go off, and then come in tomorrow, key it all up, and then we'll be good for the polyester stage, putting the polyester down. So I'll stick you in the time notes. I'm going to give these a clean down wax and grease remover, just give them a wipe down before we start spraying, and we'll be good to go. So I'll see you in a bit. There you go. I don't think I caught much spraying in that hyperlapse because I had the camera sort of above the doors pointing down. Thought it was recording and it wasn't, and I just caught a little clip for you, probably putting a bit more down on the second sort of coat. I've not gone in really thick and heavy on this, as this is basically just like a seal coat down, just to seal all the bare metal down. But we've got a nice coverage on this all over. All underneath, nice coverage all the way along under this scooter, so it's all nicely covered. Side panels the same. That's the toolbox casing. You've got your 2 side panels for a mudguard, toolbox door, and the other pieces. As you can see, it's really tight in here to try and get around all these sort of bits. I don't mind it being like this when it's in the sort of primer stages, but when it comes to the base and clear, I cannot have all this like this. It's just way, way too much. You really just want the frame on its own and be base and clearing. So you've got I've got like 3 feet gap to go around this frame. But with all this stuff, you have to be doing a few hits. So we've got this sealed down. So that's all the bare metal sealed. Tomorrow's video, we will come in and I'll just key this up, go over and key all these surfaces up on all these panels. And then we can come in with the polyester, and this is where we're going to get the build on this polyester coat. It's an industrial polyester, it's a white one, and we'll drop 3 good coats on this and you'll get your real nice build on it. And then when that's dried, we can guide coat, flat it back to make it look all nice and smooth, and then we'll be ready for base coats and clears. So that's where we've got to today. So all the sort of bits are sealed up. Leave these to dry overnight, put the heater on. This will be ticking over nice and warm, so this will cure right down in here overnight. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video on the Vespa, the next part, and I hope you join me in the next one. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, click that subscribe, press that notification so you don't miss out on any more up and coming videos on Dreadfx Custom Paint. You won't miss out on these episodes that are coming up as well. And I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Cheers guys.